best. There we go. Hello, everyone. Good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you. Let's start the stream. My music volume is way too loud on my end. There we go. How are we doing today, everyone? I think today the goal is probably going to be working on a few more cards, but last time we got this one done. We got about what, 3 more cards to go, and then it should be, this game should more or less be done. There's a tiny bit of like aesthetic tweaking and that kind of thing, but then we can get back to armies or something new. We'll see. But that's the main plan. Maybe we'll get up to some other shenanigans. We'll see. But yeah, goal 1 is get at least either another 1 to 3 monsters done, or potentially one of those could be an incident as well. We could have some sort of little mini game. I don't know what that would be yet, though. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, the question is now is what kind of design are we looking for this next monster? We have a few different aesthetic ideas, but we don't really have as much in the way of game mechanic ideas, which probably in this case is more important because we do need we need some, like, the point is to add variety, and if it's just like a reskin of a different card, then I don't know, just seems not worth it if we do it that way. So yeah, we may as well be like duplicating cards if we're gonna do that. So it does seem like we could use a few more multi-event ones. Like at least one of them should probably be a multi-event monster. So let's write some stuff down here to start. Take 3 corruption if you don't participate. Cost 1. Oh, we already. Yeah, I don't know. Let's call it idea 1. Move on. We need more multi-events. So for anyone following along, basically how any of these work, right? The creature cards, they all have a detriment. So this is if you don't participate or if you end up losing the event. So in this case, it's you take 2 damage, but a lot of time it's corruption. Sometimes there's ones that don't have any. And then I have this new one, which you actually just gain an item, so it's actually beneficial technically to lose, but you're missing out on more items. So it's like it's a trade-off, right? So all of them have to have, or most of them are going to have some sort of detriment. It's better if they do, for sure. It has a reward. We can play with like the, you know, different items, right? Like there's weapons, there are tools, there are rations. Rations probably being the most common one. There's also damage and corruption we could potentially play with in some sort of way. I was tempted. I thought it might be cool to have maybe a creature, if you kill it, you can give a specific or someone a corruption. I think that's probably the most interesting idea I've had for that. So maybe that's an idea. But yeah, I would say that's my my main idea for that. But like maybe let's just write that down, right? Winning grants other or allows you to give another player so that's probably one of the better ones. And it's probably better that's targeted. Originally I was thinking like, oh, if they win, they give everyone else corruption. But I feel like that gets weird because that's basically just the same thing as the detriment itself, right? Because everyone who isn't playing takes a corruption, especially if you win, right? So giving another person corruption seems like a cool idea. I also thought maybe it'd be cool to have like a multi-event be like a battle of sorts, right? Where if you do one, you can like corrupt the person on the other side and vice versa. I don't know how that would even work, but boo! This man doesn't know how to take a holiday. No, it's a holiday. It's true. Honestly, I didn't even know it was a weekend. I just kept, well, I wasn't really doing that much real work, but yeah. Honestly, it'll probably be a somewhat short stream, arguably. I'll probably work for only a little bit, and then I gotta go hang out with my brother afterward. I say I have to, like I don't want to, but I do want to. I just, you know. I have to do this. No, I'm going to go do that. So it'll probably be either a normal length stream or a short one, but it will not be a long one, you know? Trying to come up with a few more ideas for creatures. But yeah, honestly, I think I've forgotten how to relax at this point. That's not entirely true, but sometimes I'm just work is my like form of fun now, so it's just like but I'm burnt out, so I'm like just sitting there staring at my screen. Anyway, but yeah, some sort of like tug of war kind of mechanic would be kind of interesting. Like either a multi-event where each side is battling each other, or maybe an incident. But like, I don't know. I don't know how. Do we know any other like mini games kind of like these? Like I feel like having one more incident would be cool. Like Duel is really interesting. Liar's Bounty is okay. Double Cross is also interesting. I like all of them, but I don't know if there's any ones I can think of that are like better than these, right? I could have stuff that's similar. We could do something that plays with like corruption, maybe. I was tempted to have one be like quicksand event. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what that means yet, but I like it. Let's do this. I was also thinking something like a dark ritual or something. the idea would be that when it comes into effect, it plays a corruption card, and that corruption card is active forever. Or like any player can play a corruption card and it's active forever. I feel like it ends the game really quickly, but I don't know. I think it could be interesting. Like turn 1, it sucks, right? It doesn't do anything for you. Unless it's something like each player may play a corruption. Oh god, I hit like every key at the same time. That's definitely not right. There's too many U's. Corruption. Too many U's, not enough R's. Play a corruption. Play corruption. That corruption tune is then active for the rest of the game. If no player has a corruption, then then one is drawn from the deck. One is, I don't know, is that like, I don't know if that's fun or if that's just like obnoxious, right? But I think it's interesting at the very least. Maybe it's something we just start with and then I don't know. I kind of want to like pick something and get into it and not like overthink everything. But I also don't know what a dark ritual looks like. Right? I mean, I guess like a ceremonial knife and a summoning circle kind of deal. It is a Magic the Gathering card. That's the main thing I can think of, but I don't know if that really, how much that adds to the game and how much it just makes it more difficult. Let's look at some of these and decide. Increase the cost of an event. I guess like something like draw a second event. I guess it would have to be worded like I don't know. I feel like it might be broken. That's the biggest problem. It might be too much. I kind of like winning allows you to corrupt another player. So just like a monster that we can just get rid of all that. I did have the aesthetics of what we talked about: a locust swarm, a cactus scorpion, and a spittoon snake, which was funny, but I don't know if I don't know. my main idea, I think I like this idea where, yeah, winning a bet allows you to give a corruption to another player. That could work for our cactus scorpion. I feel like that could be kind of fun. Let's just start drawing, honestly. Like I said, I don't want this stream to go too long, so I don't want to just whatever about, faff about, as it were. Why is this on the wrong screen? Playing Fantasy Life, so I might just have you on in the background. Honestly, that's fine. Like I said, I'm gonna be drawing, so that's probably a good time to just lurk, you know? Lurk or true. Yeah, no, you're totally good. It'd be weird if I was upset about that, you know? How dare you lurk on my stream? I do also actually want to, I think this needs a little bit of, I forgot to do like the sort of blending I normally do on this, so I probably should do that as well. And then maybe throw one of the stamps on there. So we'll probably do that. And then I'll move to whatever my next thing is. Hope my art tablet was plugged in. Seems to help usually. That is massive. All right, let's control shift J. Hide this. Then we can just give it a little bit of smudging because that's sort of part of the aesthetic. There we go. And then let's put, I guess not all of these things need symbols, but we're gonna do it anyway, I guess. I think this one. Yo, Maxnet, what's up, dude? It goes quite well, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's a good day. How are you doing today? There we go. Let's save that out and then we'll go to the next one. Oops. Export as PNG. Yo, Adonimus. How you doing, dude? All right. The concept. All right. We'll I put Dungeon Bound on the workshop. Like you said, it was way easy. Yeah, right. It was easy, not way easy. It was easy. Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, it's super easy. I can take a look at it at some point. Trying to think if that's right now or not. I wouldn't mind doing that too. That could be a today thing. If you want. Obviously, no pressure if you don't want me to. let's see here. Using your stream as a douche alarms are working on my card game too. Nice, dude. That's awesome. If you want to share anything on stream, definitely, or on the stream chat, feel free. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how your work is going. If you like, but don't let me take you away from what you're doing. I'm kind of like in the middle of like, or not in the middle. I'm the opposite of in the middle. I'm kind of like sort of trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I was just gonna draw and then kind of decide what I was doing later, sort of. Because I have like a few ideas of creatures, but do I really think they're great? I don't know. Like a cactus scorpion sounds cool, but like, what does that really mean, you know? Here, let me let me pull it up just for the giggles. Yeah, today was just gonna be a chill day regardless, so because again, it's probably not gonna be a long stream. The heck? Would you mind for some reason it's not popping up. Do you mind linking your game? It's not, if you don't mind. Just rushing to replicate all the placeholder art. Yeah, there you go. Sure, one sec. Cool. Yeah, I feel that. I can't remember what was the game you were working on? Is it the one with the oh god. I gotta make sure I'm not talking out of my butt right now. Yeah, it's the one with the like necromancer and stuff, right? I guess, did I ever ask what the game's like? I know it's like, I've seen your art for it, but maybe I'm just being bad at remembering things, which is typically untrue. Usually I'm pretty good at remembering things, but I find it's a lot harder. Like in person, have very good memory, but a lot of time, like when it's online and I'm streaming, it's harder to remember like who said what and that kind of thing. Cause like I can't put a visual to like what the person's saying. Yeah, necromancer are okay, cool. Yeah, because it's kind of hard because like if I'm talking to someone, I can remember it because I can visualize them talking and that kind of stuff. But when I'm talking to just people on the internet and they're just, you know, a profile picture and a name, it's harder to remember specific details. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. Or maybe I just have streamer brain. I don't know. Just trying to whatever. It's like a 1v1 battle game using cards. Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to assume, you know. Scorpion. mechanics are pretty simple, nothing too crazy. Honestly, sometimes that's good, right? I mean, that's typically what you want, right? You want a more simple game with like the interactions between cards should be the complex part, right? I need to do a sketch for sure. Just like dungeon, what do you want to take? Like, sorry, no rulebook or anything. Honestly, it's fine. Yeah, I don't think there necessarily needs to be a. Oop, hold on. There was an error encountered by the request. Is it set to public or private? There's like a way to look when you're in the thing. I'll show you. Hold. Good question. I think it's set to private by default. So like if you're in Steam, you'll notice, I think, where is it? Visibility. You hit change visibility and set to public. Changed it, okay. I don't know if it takes effect instantly, so I guess we'll find out. You also might have to relink it, I don't know. I don't know if that changes the link sharing, kind of like how you're if you do what's it called? Like a Google Doc, right? I'm trying to get the general shape here. Got like sections of tail, right? And then like a stinger. I'm thinking of this too one-dimensionally though. A good tip for doing art is don't think of anything as lines, because then your art will end up looking very two-dimensional. Try to think of it as if every object you're drawing is a three-dimensional shape. And that will help you out a lot. In figuring out how that works. Granted, I'm not the best artist, but it's good advice nonetheless. Like, this is coming towards us, right? This section. Stream boo. Denied. Dunked on, fool. Okay, yep, there it goes. Now I see it. Subscribe. Sure, let's take a quick look at it. I can probably go, well, you know, whatever. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the where life takes us. It'll be a good lesson for us all to know to learn a thing or two. Single player. Look at this. Ready? Well, bam. We're here. This is a nice custom table. I've never used this one. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, the counters do not work, but that's okay. Some of those kind of things, or maybe it's just loading. It might still be loading. It's only... Not that I'm, you know, going to play the game. I'm mostly just going to look over it. Yeah, it's still loading. 97%. Sometimes I think some of these require you to have... There's something wrong with one of the counters. Oh, there they go. Now they loaded. The foot takes a while. Yeah. There we go. Now they're good. These just didn't have the actual numbers on them to start. But yeah. I'm trying to think where to start here. I mean, honestly, just I know you talked a bit about like the visuals. And yeah, the borderless card art definitely is there's a lot going on, right? Yeah. Let's start with visuals. I mean, the mostly in terms of like readability, right? I know you want the card art to be as visible as possible. I think this is fine. I mean, some of this is just compression of frickin' Tabletop Simulator. It likes to do that. I'm just trying to think through what I would do differently, right? This don't take like everything I say as like necessarily a critique, more as like I'm also trying to like think everything through, right? Yeah, the art is amazing. It's really cool. I do like the pixel art. It's a very fun style for a card game. Yeah, honestly, I'm just talking mostly right now. I'm just talking about the text, right? I mean, I think it's definitely readable. I gotta think on that for a second, but I know you've mentioned it a few times and brought it up, so that's why I was just thinking about it. Actually, that's kind of cool. I have the little guys on each of the card backs. That's fun. I like that. Pixel art stylistic. Yeah, honestly, it's really cool. I'm a fan of that. Here, let me do this. Yeah, there we go. Now we can, well, we can see most stuff better. Are there any duplicates of cards, or are they all all different? Okay, there's a few the same. Gotcha. Okay. I kind of want to just look at the cards, you know? There's some duplicates, yes, okay. Not a whole heck of a lot, though. At least so far, I haven't pulled any duplicates, right? So, for anyone who hasn't seen Snat's streams, this game is somewhat similar to Armies in the fact that it is a you know, co-op you know, co-op experience, right? It's you know, you have your heroes and you go against a automated, you know, monster deck essentially, right? I think the coolest part from what I've seen, the coolest part of the coolest mechanics you have, I think the threat meter is really cool. So as the threat goes up, the boss monster, or whatever you want to call it, the boss gains different effects. I think that's really cool. It's a good way to have scaling without having like too much crazy stuff, right? For Armies, we'll compare this a lot with Armies just because I think it's a good comparison to make, right? Especially for people here, right? What am I doing? Yeah, compare away. Oh god, these are just not in any sort of, well, old god cards, these. So I mean, you could compare this guy with one of the old gods, right? He's got more going on for him, right? Like he has the scaling built into the card, whereas with armies you have the scaling built into lands, essentially, right? He has to draw lands in order to scale. Lands makes him draw more cards, so arguably this is probably a better way to do it, honestly, because the problem with lands is they can be inconsistent, especially when the deck is not consistently drawing lands, and so you can't get consistent scaling. This is extremely consistent with scaling, whereas mine is more random, so you have your matches are going to be less consistent, right? Which is fine. It's just, you know, two separate things. But I think the threat meter is a good thing to have, right? I like that concept. I like your concept of having multiple like floors or whatever this is, right? Where there's different tiers of monsters. And I know you said some of them are going to be pretty crazy, right? Obviously, I have no real context of like how much damage is a lot of damage or whatever, that kind of thing. I mean, I guess, you know, you have your health here, and dealing 5 damage to all heroes seems like a lot, right? Sorry. Cat hair. Just everywhere all the time. I think these two mechanics are cool, right? Yeah, I haven't worked out all the damage of monster and all. Honestly, you won't for a long time, I'm sure. That's a balance thing, right? And right now, it seemed like what you were most worried about is the fun of the game, right? So yeah, I think the scaling mechanic's cool. The boss does transform at a certain point. I think originally you said it was at a certain amount of health he switches, right? Yeah. I was mentioning it'd be cool if he potentially changed once you got to like tier 3 monsters, and then he like thinking of this as a dungeon, right? Like you're at the top of the dungeon, you kill the, you know, the crappy monsters, and you work your way down, you find more terrifying monsters, you kill those, and then eventually after you get through the hardest challenges, you get to the boss, right? That's kind of where I was visualizing it. Does it have to be that way? Not necessarily, but I think that's kind of a cool way to scale the game, is that like I think you were going between a few different things, but having it so like when you're battling at tier 1, right? I think it's interesting to have the player agency to choose when to go to the next floor, right? I think that's interesting because you have to decide when you have scaled enough to move on to the next floor, right? I think that's interesting. Especially like when you think about like think of a game like Risk of Rain. I don't know if you ever played it, but Risk of Rain 2, it has a timer, right? And the longer the timer goes, the more difficult the game gets. That is essentially your threat meter, right? Oh yeah, Roar. Yeah, Roar's great. One of my favorite games. So think of it like that, right? As the timer goes up, which is your threat meter, right? Analogous to your threat meter. As the timer goes up, the game gets more difficult. You get to decide when you go to the next level. That's why there's always been like a huge debate on Risk of Rain, whether like you should loot quickly, or should you full loot and then go to the next level, right? So the interesting part I find here, and obviously you can decide to go this way or not, you know, take anything I say with a grain of salt. It's your game. You should keep your personality in this game. But my thought is it's interesting to be like, okay, I'm going to keep grinding at these lower level monsters because I want XP or I want these rewards or whatever, because I don't feel safe enough to go to the next tier yet. Although, of course, the more you wait, the more difficult it gets. Eventually, you're like, okay, I've got the items I need, or I got whatever I need for my build, however that works. I go to the next tier, and then, defeat those, and then finally get to tier 3, and then I can defeat the big bad. And then that might change, like, if you were to go that way, right? That could change how your monsters perform. Like, these could act more like support monsters for your big boss, right? And I won't worry about like changing these cards drastically, because even if it has, interesting art or whatever, like these could still be used for. Don't feel like weird about changing a card completely. You can reuse the art, right? Never feel bad about that. Or even if you just scrap this idea, like, oh, I don't know, this dragon doesn't work for like a peon kind of monster, right? Well, it's you can always use this art somewhere else, right? So keep that in mind. Don't feel bad about that. That's my thought. I think that mechanic is pretty interesting, the scaling, right? Now the players I arguably think I know less about, like I've heard you talk less about. I mean, I can see like obviously their abilities, right? Lower threat meter, that's cool, right? That's a the more you can interact with different mechanics, the better off you are, and I think that's super cool, right? Anytime you have a mechanic, you can work with that, right? And I think that's a cool concept. Here on the same line, cleric receives. So you got all these stat bonuses. I'm trying to decide what I think of that, because it's a lot, right? There's a lot of different stats. I mean, you've got what? Defense, attack, dexterity. What are the differences, I guess, between these two, right? Dexterity, I guess, is used for, it's a little much, yeah. Yeah, and then health, right? Comparing this to armies, right? Again, you don't have to do what I do, right? Finding another way to do it is perfectly, is potentially better, right? But in armies, let's open it for a second. Shields, defense, reduce flat damage to a minimum of 1. Okay, makes sense. Let's compare this to armies for a second. Armies has a singular resource. That resource is both your damage and your defense, right? You don't have to go this simplistic. This game I want to make in 24 hours. So, or not 24 hours, 2 weeks. That different game I made in 24 hours. So whenever you put units onto a thing, effectively put his agility, which influences dodge and trap disarm rolls, right? Gotcha. And the health, I would assume, is health, and damage is damage. Those make sense. But yeah, so basically how this works, right? This is more to take inspiration from rather than, say, copy my game, right? But so when an endling attacks, right, I lose my health. When I attack, I also lose my health, but I also deal the damage. So he takes 1 to kill, right, and he dies. Enemies have flat health. You have to kill them all in 1 hit. That's to help prevent like me having to track monster health as well, right? So I don't need to ever track monster health because you have to kill it with, like, if it was a 5 strength monster, you have to kill it with 5 strength or 5 units, right? Yeah, similar thing to how Magic Gathering with monster health. Exactly. Yeah. So that's how I do that. And so all the tracking is just a singular resource, right? It does make it simpler. It still can get pretty complex because these units can, like, you can have like 26 units and you have to move them around to different things, right? So that is interesting. I realize now I shouldn't be just hanging out in the art category, but you know, whatever, it's fine. I don't care. We'll get back to art eventually. Let's go back to here for a second. I mean, I wasn't sure, like, just from like looking at your game what your abilities were like, but now that I'm looking at it, and they seem good. Mostly I just didn't know, right? Like, it's hard to like know exactly. I do see a lot of healing, but I guess this is your cleric, so that makes perfect sense. Probably should be showing this on screen instead. Cleric reveals top 3 cards from your deck, adds Winter Hand, puts in the rest of the, yeah, okay. Need a better way to show the abilities, what they do. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the amount you have to track. You have this many resources, right? How do cards work? They're only one-use things, right? Like, you use a card and then it's done. There's no, like, are there any permanently equipped cards, or is that... Oh, I guess it does say at the top, it says single-use gear. I'm assuming gear lasts forever, and in single use, you just use right away. Here is my suggestion. Get rid of all of this. Well, maybe not health, but get rid of most of this. And rather than having, there are single use cards ongoing in gear. Like gear, like artifacts ongoing, are like enchantments compared to magic. Okay. My suggestion, get rid of all of this. And rather than like leveling up and gaining stats, make it so you gain gear cards as your, as like the bonus. I mean, maybe you have just XP, and then when you level up, you get to get a gear card. Something like that, right? Have one resource to track, and then have the gear influence your character. Or enchantments, or whatever, however you want to do it. Like, maybe an enchantment is rather like a gear you can put on someone else kind of deal, right? That's how I think you would probably simplify it. I had a good segment in one of my videos about this where it's take I think it's in my stat system video, which is a underrated video in my opinion. What we got any League of Legends players out here? I know League gets a lot of crap, but one of the best things they did was their rune and mastery system. Originally, it was like, oh, you get, you know, 15 to strength and whatever, blah blah. Diablo is also a great example, right? What they did, rather than having, oh, get stat makes you better, right? It's have an ability that's more interesting that makes you better, right? Because counting all these little stats, like, oh, I have, you know, 15 extra strength, right? I can, you know, kill more things. That's cool and all, but what's more cool is like an ability that doubles my strength, or like you know, an ability that lets me stun a card or whatever. You know, obviously I don't know exactly how your game works, but that's kind of what I would recommend, is less smaller increases in abilities and more larger impactful ones. That would be my suggestion. It cleans up the game a lot, right? Because it makes it less tedious to have like a bunch of resources to track. You only have, you know, a single card instead of, you know, a bunch of these. It does look cool. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think you've got a good base for the game. And like I said, I really like these mechanics. I think it's a cool thing. But yeah, I would say the tracking probably makes it not super fun. Dice rolling, there's like a whole faux pas about dice rolling in card games, because you already have your random RNG from drawing cards, and then if you have more randomness on top of that, it's like, okay, I wasn't able to use this card even though whatever. I would be wary of that. I'm a little bit against the whole like people being super against I'm against people being against dice in card games. I think it can be done well. I would just keep that in mind as like just a thing to consider. I think I mentioned potentially consider having some of these cards affect dice rolls. So maybe like a piece of gear gives you advantage on dice rolls. Like that's kind of a cool idea. A nice board or mat to play on would be sick to see. Agreed. Yeah, that could be cool. Oh, I'm like so behind. Hold on. Looks cool though. Yeah, I like the art style. Yo, welcome in, Toot. How you doing? Cool game. Nice artboard, map play. Yeah. I use DIC, which is works well, but some of the dice. I was like DIC. Yeah. But it removes some of the card randomness. Right. Yeah. I have it based on attack and skill abilities. Gotcha. Attack abilities you roll well based on attack stat, while skill abilities just always go off. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, maybe consider using some of your gear to give you advantage or add to your dice or whatever. But yeah, I think that's my major thoughts. There's probably a way to, I would maybe, like if you compare these cards, right? Like this, the clarity on these cards is a lot better than on these ones. So I might consider making your border, or make it a little more opaque here for the text box. That'd be the only thing visually I would say would make sense. I'd love to see a playtest of this to get a better idea. He does it a good bit on his channel, so you can definitely check him out. Go here, we'll... how do I do this? Slash... shout out. Oh god. There you go. Cleric is my graphic design is my passion. Yeah, for sure, my dude. You're good at it. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to playtest. I was saying we could potentially do a playtest trade. Could be a thing. I do want to do more of that kind of thing, just in general. Probably not necessarily on stream, but maybe. Who knows? I do need to playtest armies more, so that's my initial thought without knowing any of the really core, like, I mean, I know kind of how the game functions, but without knowing like the specifics, right? So yeah, hopefully that's helpful and not discouraging, right? Do you have any questions for me, or did that make sense? Basically, to summarize, I like these mechanics. I like the monsters. I like the scaling. I like the different tiers. Log device, thanks a lot. Okay, cool. I think there needs to be simplification. It doesn't necessarily need to be, but that's what I would do personally. Less have less more non-impactful upgrades and more impactful ones, right? If that makes sense. You want like cooler, bigger abilities you get less often, rather than a bunch of merp abilities that you get all the time, right? I think that's a good design philosophy that a lot of games are using these days, right? Rather than, you know, points go up, you get, oh, ability that changes the core of my character, right? Like, oh, I get sweep attack, which lets me attack 2 characters rather than like I get +5 strength, right? That's that kind of concept, right? Replace the green map with a cool looking or dungeon looking map, and I'm sold. Deal. There you go. Yeah. So there you have it. That is my thoughts. And I think about this, make some changes, good stuff. So thanks you so much. Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. I'm glad I could help. As I said, there's not a lot of us board game streamers, so gotta help each other out, right? Now back to drawing a cactus scorpion. I knew that was, I literally knew it was gonna happen. I felt it in my bones. I got sunburn on my head. I don't know if you can tell. I forgot to wear a hat yesterday while I was helping my mom with garden work. And so I was like, I was gonna shave my head, and I'm like, I can't shave my head. That would hurt. I didn't want to interrupt. Did that make a noise when that happened? I didn't hear it. Oh, you know what? My volume levels are probably all sorts of weird. You're such a good seed helping in the garden. Thank you. Oh, we could tell. Good, good. Yeah, you can probably. Isn't that great? We are gonna hit an ad in a minute, so I will probably take a break. Good seed is wild. It is pretty wild. You can always tell where your hat you dingus. Honestly, I just kind of didn't. It was like an overcast day, and you can always forget to wear a hat. You know what I mean? Oops. Sorry, it was an overcast day, and yeah, I just forgot that I needed to wear a hat. Do you wear a hat 100% of the time? Honestly, I wear a hat more often on stream than I do in real life. I got sunburn on Friday. Yeah, it's no fun, really. UV is some crazy. Yeah, I guess I only have 2 occasions to reference. That's true. But yeah, I don't know. They're I also just forgot it. I was planning on wearing my hat. I just didn't bring it, you know. Scorpions are kind of weird. Their like face is in their body. It's not like they have a separate head, really, almost. I mean, they kind of do, but like it's pretty in there, you know. You know what the worst part about this is? I have to draw a bunch of legs. I don't like drawing legs. They're also weird backwards legs because they're another creature. Anyway, we're probably hitting an ad. Let me, yeah, we're hitting an ad. Let me, put on my Be Right Back screen.
Hi, I'm Nathan, and today we're going to be discussing what makes a good stat system. We'll be going over examples of what makes a good and bad stat system in both tabletop games and video games alike, along with how I implemented these concepts into my game Soul. To start, what am I talking about when I say stat system? I'm talking about games that have base stats that affect your character at a core level, such as strength, stamina, agility, intelligence.
Oh, this is the video you should actually watch.
So on and so forth. These stats in turn affect a character's ability to perform actions directly or often indirectly by affecting other stats that in turn affect their actions. It's all very complicated. Dungeons and Dragons is a great example, with the primary stats affecting each skill, giving them bonuses. For instance, someone with a high intelligence also gains a bonus to their arcana. So, now that we're on the same page, what makes a good stat system? Well, to answer that question, I like to answer another question. Does a game even need a stat system? No. No, it doesn't. Next question. No, but seriously, they don't. But they do help add character diversity to a game at its base level. When originally making Soul, there was some debate whether we should have a stat system at all. At the time, I was taking a lot of inspiration from U-Realms Live, which had no core stats. This sort of game allows for a lot of freedom and simplicity. In U-Realms' case, a character was built solely on their cards in their hand, with no stats to affect their dice rolls. This meant a character couldn't excel at anything that wasn't listed on their cards. Conversely, a game with a stat system allows a character to have innate strengths and weaknesses. For example, Dungeons & Dragons allows a character with high strength to deal more damage with their melee weapon compared to a character that doesn't. So is it better to have a stat system than not? Well, it depends on its integration into the game, which is also the answer to our question of what makes a good stat system. A game with a well-integrated stat system allows it to influence the entirety of the play experience, while allowing for each stat to be just as important as the others. Let's take a look at a game that failed to have a good integration of its system to see what I mean. Diablo 3. Diablo 3 has 3 core stats: strength, dexterity, and intelligence. These stats granted damage for each of their respected classes and were called primary stats. For example, Monk's primary stat was dexterity, and Wizard's was intelligence. Each of these core stats will grant defensive stats as well, such as strength granting armor, dexterity granting dodge chance, and intelligence granting resistances. This is all pretty standard for a game like this, but the real problem arose in the actual application of these mechanics. Due to it granting both damage and damage reduction, having a primary stat for a class was just much better, rather than just obtaining damage reduction from a secondary stat. Additionally, many types of damage reduction could simply be found from other sources such as items or abilities. To further accentuate the problem, the game was built around the importance of killing enemies as quickly as possible, making more damage the clear choice over defense. Your enemies can't kill you if they're dead. This clearly made your primary stat the logical choice. Whenever an item would roll with a different stat, it felt underwhelming, and would often lead to the player re-rolling the stat or not using it at all. Eventually, an update to the game made it so items no longer rolled without your primary stat, making core stats effectively useless. At this point, they may as well lumped all the stats together into a single stat that grants you damage and defense. The biggest takeaway from this example is that each of the stats should have uses for every character. Obviously, they try to do this with various damage reduction stats, however, they ended up not being as useful as a character gaining benefits from their primary one. But you might be saying, this is how games have been made for years. Each class has a stat they specialize in. A warrior specializes in strength, a rogue with dexterity, and a wizard with intelligence. The problem with this system is that if you only base a character around one of these stats, you'll never get interesting characters like a battle mage with a sword in one hand and a spell in the other, or a pirate with the nimbleness of a rogue and the strength of a warrior. Definitely not trying to knock the game, because I've put way too many hours into it myself, but it's something good to acknowledge and ultimately understand that core stats aren't always.
If you want to watch the rest of that video, check it out on my YouTube if you want. There it is. Anyway, let's draw. I should do the screen. There we go. Yeah, hopefully y'all thought that was fun to take a look at some other games. If anyone ever wants me to look at their game too, feel free. I mean, I feel like it's fun. We can all learn from it, you know. So, one day. That was a good video. I'm watching the rest now. Yeah, that one's honestly one of my older ones. So like the quality, video quality itself isn't as good, but the contents are still good, but the editing isn't near as good. But yeah, I'm happy with that one. That one's probably one of my most watched video. Thanks again for the advice. I'm gonna about to bounce. All right, dude. Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. I appreciate having you here. And now we draw a scorpion. I don't think I can shorten it like that. I don't think that's allowed. It's also got weird legs. Its actual legs are back here, right? They're all coming out of its midsection and not the back, right? And then they go back is how this works. That looks a lot better already. Why decide to pick a super complex creature to draw? I don't know. I just made this easy on myself. Yeah, well, you know, here we are. They're definitely not long enough. Is the front one more fronty? No, it's not. I guess it kind of is. You should be like longer and ganglier. This is kind of getting the idea. It's not necessarily going to look quite like that. And then we'll just see some like legs sticking up like that. Most of them are going to be behind the body, I think, in this sort of pose. And then we got our big old claws. I'm trying to get more like do a shape and then I can draw the shape inside the shape. Does that make sense? Like this should be a sphere essentially, right? Or like an oval sort of sphere, right? And then inside the sphere. How do you look on Mark's game? Is on TTS? Yeah, it's he posted it. I can relink it. He posted it on in the chat here. Where did do? There. Yeah. So it kind of goes and have it like a little thing here. They got like their arms are on their freaking face. It's wild. There's that, and then there's one connecting. I don't know, I guess it looks like a scorpion. Looks too cute right now is the problem. It's too circular. Because circular shapes convey more non-threatening vibes. I don't know. I just work here. I don't know. You know what I mean? Why do legs always just, I can never get them quite right, you know? They always look stiff. It's the bane of my existence. I gotta remember too that this art style I can be a little messy with, and that's okay, you know? Because that's kind of the point of it. The point of the style was to be as non-specific as it can be. To make up for my lack of art skills. Okay, not lack of art skills, lack of, I don't know, certain art skills. Certain things I am lacking in. Anatomy skills maybe is probably anatomy and perspective I think are probably my weakest points that I need to like improve on. I'm just like an angry, grumpy old man. We'll get there though. But yeah, I think if I could get better at anatomy, I'd be a little happier. And perspective. Anatomy and perspective. Two big things. Honestly, I'm gonna turn this into my I forgot that like I kind of don't really do a sketch in this art style. I kind of just make a base shape and like carve away at it, almost like I'm sculpting. You know? Do you happen to remember Giuseppe from Adventure Time? Is that who that is? I don't know how you pronounce that name. I'm assuming I'm right. Giuseppe. Oh, the old man guy thing. Yeah. I don't remember anything about him per se. Did I even see that? I know he's like a background character in a few things. I think, was he later on? I know I've seen the character, But yeah, that does look like that. You pronounced it right. Okay, good. Sorry. English hard. Probably not even, it's not an English name, I'm sure, so that doesn't help. Yes, it does. It really does. We'll get there. Italian, yeah. Italian. The Italian from Apple. You know what I mean? Oh, is she back there? Yeah. Little Luna. Honestly, I put my hoodie there because I'm like, one, I'm not going to use it, and two, she likes to lay on it, so I put it there. Now it no longer looks like Giuseppe. She's a good girl. She is. She's the goodest. Most of the time. Oops. Just smudge brushing for no reason. Don't mind me. It's like drawing the spider all over again. Still not even 100% sure this is what I want to be drawing. No, it just looks silly. It's got a little mask. Okay, I think I should make the shapes look sharper. And obviously we need to make things look a little more dimensional too. Well, it's starting very, very rough. Oh. And it looks vaguely scorpion-like. Problem with scorpion faces, kind of derpy, you know what I mean? It looks okay when it's like 4 microns big. There we go. That's helping. Make it a little narrower. There we go. Okay, maybe we're getting somewhere. Anyone doing anything fun with their Memorial Day? If you are in fact an American, I'm assuming most other people don't have Memorial Day on today, if at all. Now, the plan was to make this part scorpion, part cactus, but I'm not entirely certain how that works. Or if that's what I want to do at all. Because I thought it was kind of a fun mashup for no reason, you know? Like, is that anything? Is that even like a fun idea? I don't know. And how would I even do it? Like, I was partly tempted to like give it like the cactus sort of arms here. Or is that just silly? Let's look up some cactuses. See how I feel about it. You just give it cactus needles. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. That's probably the cooler way of doing it. But like at the same time, like, is that even like, I give it little spikes, right? Is that even, it almost doesn't feel different than like scorpions have like little hairs on them, you know? I guess I could also give it like the cactus like patterning, right? Like it has that sort of whatever. True. But, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's, like, a bad thing. Like, if we give it the, like, the... Or do a separate cactus monster. Yeah, I'm not, like, so sold on that it needs to be two separate. Like, I need to have that, right? It wasn't even necessarily, like... I mean, maybe we can mix this with, like, another concept. Because the idea... The current working game mechanic idea I have... is winning allows you to give a corruption to another player. So it's kind of like a, it doesn't really necessarily work with this per se. It doesn't really not work with it either because all these creatures are corrupted, but the idea is like if you defeat the creature, you can give a corruption to a player. Maybe it's a multi-event kind of thing. Yeah, maybe I split it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep drawing. That's all I'm really doing today is just gonna... This is the plan for today, really, arguably. Making him thinner definitely is helping. Why was I doing Star Wars music? I don't know, but he's dancing. All right, I'm losing it. Don't mind me. But you know what I could do if I'm this close? Is that helpful? Do you like that? I think that's nice. We're gonna try this one more time. They kind of got these like weird crinkly faces. Kind of like a little spider face, but not. Might not even be a real picture, to be honest. It's probably AI generated. Maybe it's just a suggestion of a face rather than an actual face. Isn't it crazy how much better it looks after just a few minutes? I was really unsure about it at first. I mean, it's still not perfect, but looks a lot freaking better than it did. It does kind of help how it's sketchy and your mind can kind of fill in the blanks, but there's always like that that issue with sketches, right? You like have a sketch and you're like, oh man, this looks really good, and then you do line art and it looks terrible. Any artists know that issue? I know the answer is yes, so. For sure, yeah. Too real of a problem. I don't know, I kind of like the spikes in it though, even if it's maybe not the clearest is what it is. Yeah, I brought a snack with me. Sorry, I took like a half a second break there. You eat a bite of whatever and check some messages there. How dare you? I know. I've been trying to be better about like talking more often though. I mean, I know like arguably I'm like more like co-working content, so if I'm not talking all the time, it's okay. But I feel like just being engaging is nice, you know. I'm there to engage with until you don't want to engage with me anymore, you know. If you were a streamer, I'd be or if I were a streamer, I'd be borderline mutes. So I think you're doing great. Thank you. Talk that shit, right? Just say random crap until whatever. Yeah, sometimes you just need to ramble a little bit. I've gotten a lot better, I think, than I originally was. How are we feeling about the Scorpion? I think he's coming along. He looks better than he did originally, I'll tell you that. Does he look reminiscent of a cactus at all? He's got hands now, he's evolving. Well, interestingly enough, maybe it's not all of them. Some scorpions look like they have like extra claws on their thing. Unless this is just like AI lying to me. Probably AI lying to me, let's be real. Yeah. Needs more pinceriness. Yeah. It probably shouldn't be quite like that, huh? They need to be like sharper looking though, so it was kind of like good, but in that sense. I guess it's got like little like prongs in the claws, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's the way to do it. Make them like cactus branches. I was thinking about that. I mean, it could... I'm trying to think how to... This looks weird. I think of anything... I don't know. Let me look up some cactuses. I need some references. Yeah, I think that, like, honestly, if anything, it should be like growing out of his like tail and stuff, right? Like one up here, big branch coming out this way. And maybe like one out of his leg. I feel like it just looks weird. Looks maybe phallic. I'll after a prickly pear cactus that in the description says the scorpion makes a tasty snack. That'd be funny. Let's look up a prickly pear cactus. Those are like the flat ones, right? Yeah. I don't know. That would be funny though. Although I don't know if you're going to be able to eat this one. We're going to have a few monsters that your people eat, so I don't know. Unsure. Yeah, it's better. Better to have the claws like claws, you know? I'm way... Oh, I forgot about my hat again. I knew this was going to happen. There we go. Hat back on. And redeemed. No. Dang it. You're trying to see how long you can get away with it. I do like how it's like a game, you know? I would have remembered. The problem is that I was like, oh, there's the break, and then so I took the break, and I was like, oh, it's like 5 minutes. I should give him like, basically 3 of the 5 minutes were part of the break, and then I'm like, I should give him the benefit of the redeem. Like I should give him the extra, you know, few minutes, and then I completely forgot. So, you know, here we are. I kind of like the little spines though. Whether it makes it look more like a cactus or just feels like kind of like a scorpion thing, I think it looks cool. Locked in. Locked and loaded. Yeah, I'll probably get the art done for this and then I'll probably go. Whether that is sooner or later on stream. It probably will be a not super long stream today, just because I'm gonna go hang out with my brother after stream. I feel like it curves the other way. I think you're right now that you say that, huh? Yeah, you're right. It does. It do that. It do. Ugh, that's a weird one to do on perspective, though. Okay, let's draw it in a cylinder first. The cylinder is like this-ish, and so it will be somewhat... Ugh, I don't like this. You know what? Can we cheat? Can we just... I don't think we can. I think the perspective is too weird to cheat. Right? We can't just... Yeah, no, we can't do that. We could do this? Nope, we can't. Perspective don't like that. Yeah, you should enjoy the holiday and not doing work. Yeah, I mean, arguably, like, I was talking about this earlier, like at the beginning of the stream, but like, I don't even know what not work is anymore. I mean, I kind of do, but like, I feel like I keep sitting down to like do other stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of just want to work. But then I'm also burnt out, so it's like I'm kind of like unsure of how to relax anymore, I think. Which is bad. I need to like get back into relaxing. I need to figure that out. I'm with you, man. Yeah. I'm simultaneously burnt out and want to relax. And don't know how to relax, rather. Sorry. I was... You know when you say something and you just don't say it right? That's better, right? This looks like another leg, but it shouldn't be. Sometimes I, like, when I'm streaming, I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying, and then I end up just saying, like, nothing words. That's part of the problem when we talk about me talking on stream. Sometimes I just say things that don't make any sense, you know? I think we're getting close to like me being good enough with this as in art. And then just kind of adding details. But yeah, it's kind of weird because I feel like I get burnt out after every video I make. And this time it's kind of weird because the video's done, but it's not going to be out for like at least a week, maybe 2. Because it's not my video. I mean, it's my video, but not my video, you know what I mean? Do we even bother giving him eyes? I think we don't. I think we just... I guess angly eyes might be better. Or do we just kind of leave him blind? I was thinking like cactus flowers in his eyes, but I think it looks too silly. Looks even sillier. Don't they have multiple eyes? I don't believe so. They're kind of little derpy little guys. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. I can't tell what of these are real anymore. More than 2. I mean, maybe they have 4. They almost look like they have 2 on the top and 2 on the side, but they're not like spiders. All right, weird, creepy looking creature incoming. Come on. I hate how this shows right where my chat is. There's nothing there. Full screen. There we go. They got like, I guess they have a few, right? But I also get this, which this has got to be AI, right? It looks cool from like a creature perspective, but it's definitely, I don't think that's real. Yeah, it's gotta be fake. But this guy only looks like he's got like maybe a few. I don't know. Yeah, you might be right though. They've got like eyes kind of everywhere. It's kind of weird. There's like 2 on the top and 2 like 4 on the side. Bunch of eyes, yeah. Okay, yeah, some more eyes. Good call. Honestly, even if it wasn't true, it wouldn't be the worst thing. This is supposed to be like a weird mutant creature, so the more eyes, the merrier. That instantly makes it look better. I'm not going for accuracy here, by the way. There we go. All right, I'm off to play Fantasy Life. Have a good rest of your stream, sir. Thank you, sir. I will see you around, I'm sure. My liege. Indeed. By Sir Bradley. All right, more spikes. Yeah, I guess like the little spike spiky hairs is more of a... Is that more of a, I guess they do have little spiky hairs. I was gonna say, I was wondering if that was more of a spider thing than a scorpion thing, but... I don't know, what do we think? Good? I mean, it could be better, probably, but I think it's, Babu, if I say it's bad, will you stay? No. Looks good. Cool. Oh, I guess it's... This isn't helpful anymore. Yeah, I do have to... Whatever. Have to, Let me text my brother and see how he's doing. Uncanny Valley looks very sharp. Thank you, dude. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap around up. Let's see. It's a holiday. We'll do a short stream. It's still 2 hours, you know. No, we can do if we're quick. I don't know if he's... Hold on. I don't know how long he's going for. But we could raid Bean. Because he's live. I was trying to see if he was saying if he was gonna be... Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, I think we're gonna be good for today. I don't know exactly what the, you know, whole deal will be with this, but like what the mechanics and all that. But I'm happy with getting a drawing done today, and I could spend an hour fully finishing the card, but I think I'm gonna take the day to hang out with my brother. So, linear light. 80%. Or is it 80 or 88? I think it's 80. Yeah. There it is. There's the final art. Anyway, y'all, let's raid Bean because we can, because we don't get to normally. And, yeah. It'll be a good time. Go to my face. I will be back. When will I be back? I will be back Wednesday. I am thinking about asking my friends to see if they want to play test armies or this game on stream. So maybe We'll get some of those on random days that I wouldn't normally stream on. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Anywho, let's raid Bean. He's a good dude. You all know him. We all love him. Following. All right, y'all. He's doing some really cool Zelda art, so take a look at that. Anyway, I will see you all on Wednesday. Okay, B. Raid. Oh, wait. Of course, the 10-second timer thing. He's having some sort of debate. I don't know. I was trying to see if he said he was ending soon or anything, but... All right. Off we go. See y'all. Peace.